Imagine a place where nature looks hand-painted, where every corner holds a secret, and every sunset feels like a work of art. A place where time moves differently, slower, as if the earth itself wanted you to savor every moment. Today, we're going to travel together to a destination that goes far beyond what the eyes can see, a country where the beauty is as diverse as its culture. Wairebo villages. In the heart of the Flores Mountains in Indonesia, surrounded by passing clouds and protected by dense and ancient vegetation, rests a village as remote as it is sacred. Its name is Wairebo, a place where time has slowed, or perhaps simply stopped. To get there, one must climb, walk for hours along winding trails, cross streams, listen to the whisper of bamboo groves and the echoes of tropical birds, before finally seeing the conical shapes of the village emerge from the mist. There, atop a hill wrapped in silence, stands one of the last strongholds of Manggarai culture, resisting both time and modernity. With only 7 main houses, known as Ambaru Nyang, arranged in a circle like an earthly constellation, the village is the beating heart of a community that preserves its identity through architecture, ritual, and oral tradition. Each house is a microcosm of tradition. Its walls are crafted from carefully carved wood, topped with a tall conical thatched roof that points to the heavens. At the center of every Ambaru Nyang, a fire is kept alive, a symbol of life's continuity. The history of the village is wrapped in myths and legends that echo through generations. It is said that Wairebo was founded over 100 years ago by an ancestor named Empo Maro. Guided by visions and spiritual wisdom, he is believed to have discovered this sacred place and built the first shelter there, giving rise to a lineage that endures to this day. From generation to generation, rituals are passed down with reverence. There are no books, no written records. Memory lives in the voices of the elders, in the chants that accompany the dances, and in the carefully chosen words spoken during ceremonies that give thanks to nature. In Wairebo, time follows a different rhythm. The day begins with the crow of the roosters, followed by the sound of children running between homes and the women preparing coffee grown on the mountain slopes. Wairebo coffee is famous, not only for its flavor but for how it's cultivated, with respect for the land, without machines and without haste. Everything here is done by hand, planting, harvesting, drying the beans. Coffee isn't just a drink, it's an offering, a connection to the forest spirits, a gesture of communion between the living and those who have passed on. Lombok. Lombok is a promise of untouched nature, of living spirituality, and of a culture that pulses with quiet pride. Located just east of the famous Bali, it's often overlooked, and perhaps that's exactly why it retains such rare purity. The island of Lombok is a land of contrasts. Mountains that touch the clouds rise from its center, while white sand beaches stretch along its coast. With every turn, the scenery changes. Dense jungles, quiet villages, rice fields that sway with the wind, and temples that whisper ancient secrets. At the center of this magical landscape stands Mount Rinjani. At 12,224 feet above sea level, it is the second highest volcano in Indonesia. Majestic and fearsome, Rinjani is more than just a geological formation. For local people, it is sacred. According to the beliefs of the Sasak people, the indigenous population of Lombok Rinjani is the dwelling place of Dewi Anjani, an ancestral goddess who watches over and protects the island. Each eruption is seen as a sign, a form of divine communication, and every climb to the volcano's summit is a ritual of reconnection between the human and the spiritual. The trails that lead to the summit are challenging. It's a journey that demands body, mind, and soul. But for those who reach the top, the reward is indescribable. A colossal crater where rests Segara Anak Lake, a turquoise blue mirror that seems sculpted by the gods themselves. Around Rinjani, life beats with an ancestral rhythm. The Sasak people preserve practices that date back centuries. Farmers, artisans, healers, each person has a role in the village. Time is measured by harvests, by moon phases, and by stories that echo from generation to generation. Their houses are made of bamboo, clay, and straw, simple materials that harmonize with the climate and the earth. Sasak women are skilled weavers. Their fabrics, known as songket, are vibrant, hand-woven, and carry symbols of identity, fertility, and spiritual strength. Gili Air. There's a place where time slows down until it nearly disappears. Where cars don't exist, horns fall silent, and the horizon is always blue. That place is Gili Air, a tiny island in Indonesia that seems to have escaped the noise of the 21st century. Located northwest of Lombok, next to its sister islands Gili Trawangan and Gili Meno, Gili Air is a sanctuary, a dot on the map that few people find, but no one ever forgets. A sliver of the world where every sunrise feels like the first on Earth. Gili Air is the closest to Lombok, and the one that best balances silence with life. Not as festive as Gili Trawangan, nor as deserted as Gili Meno, it radiates a calm energy. It is the meeting point between the simple and the sacred. The name Air comes from the Indonesian language and means water, a gentle irony, since the entire island is surrounded by crystal-clear seas, where the water blends with the sky. But Air can also be read as air, and maybe that's what truly defines the island, a place where you breathe freedom. When you arrive in Gili Air, the world shifts tone. There are no motor vehicles. The dominant sounds are waves, footsteps in the sand, and the clatter of horses' hooves pulling wooden carts, the traditional sidamos. Bicycles are the main form of transportation, and even they are sometimes left aside. Because Gili Air is the size of contemplation. A 2-hour walk is enough to circle the entire island. As you walk this path, you won't see neon signs or tall buildings. You'll see the sea, palm trees, rustic wooden bars, and thatched cabanas with colorful pillows where backpackers read, dream, and write. There's an informal beauty to Gili Air, a charming disarray. It's an island where bare feet are the official attire, where salty hair and the scent of the ocean are part of one's identity. But Gili Air isn't just a landscape, it's a living soul. A fusion of cultures, languages, and smiles from all over the planet. Balinese, Sasak, Europeans, digital nomads, artists, divers, all living together in harmony, as if time had taught them coexistence. Borobudur. Amid the dense tropical morning mist, when the sun begins to gently gild the rice fields of central Java, a colossal, ancient, silent structure rises, overflowing with stories and spirituality. Borobudur. In its stony silence, it speaks, not with words, but with symbols, reliefs, and the pure presence of the sacred, meticulously carved more than 1,000 years ago by hands that now belong to eternity. Located on the island of Java, Borobudur was built around the 9th century after Christ, during the reign of the Sailendra dynasty, in a time when Mahayana Buddhism was flourishing in the region. Its name likely derives from the Sanskrit words Vihara Buddha-ur, meaning Buddhist monastery on the mountain. However, this mountain is not natural. It's a ziggurat carefully constructed from over 2 million blocks of andesite, a type of volcanic rock. With a height of 112 feet, 9 platforms and a central stupa crowning the summit, Borobudur is more than a temple. It is an entire cosmos carved in stone. From above, its circular outline resembles a 3-dimensional mandala. From below, it is a journey from ignorance to wisdom, from illusion to truth. The journey begins at the base of the temple, on the walls of the lowest platform, where hundreds of carved panels depict the Kamadhatu, the realm of desires, the plane where beings are trapped in cycles of birth and rebirth. The scenes illustrate daily life, vices, lust, violence, and human passions. It is a mirror of worldly existence, of the suffering born from attachment. Climbing to the middle levels, one enters Rupadhatu, the world of form where the spiritual seeker begins to renounce sensory desires. Here, more than 1,000 panels illustrate the past lives of the Buddha, the Jatakas, along with scenes from the biography of Siddhartha Gautama. The art is extraordinarily precise, rich in detail and emotion, guiding the pilgrim toward higher understanding. At the upper levels, the walls give way to open space. The platforms become circular and empty, representing Arupadhatu, the formless world where the spirit is freed from material constraints. It is at this point that silence dominates. There are no more stories, no more images, only 72 stupas, each containing a statue of the Buddha in deep meditation. Bali. Its name is Bali, but to many, it is more than a spot on the map. It is a presence, a living energy, a sanctuary where the visible and invisible dance in harmony. On this island, the sacred permeates everything, from the morning offerings placed on sidewalks to the festivals that unite entire villages for days and nights on end. Known as the Island of the Gods, Bali is home to a unique form of Hinduism, profoundly different from that practiced in India. Here, the Balinese follow Agama Hindu Dharma, a fusion of Hindu, animist, and Buddhist traditions, shaped over centuries of cultural syncretism and resilience. This faith manifests in temples that rise from the earth like stone roots, in dances that narrate ancestral stories, and in rituals marking every phase of life from birth to death and beyond. Walking through Bali is like entering a living tapestry of symbols and meaning. The streets are adorned with kanang sari, small offerings made with flowers, banana leaves, and incense. These are placed daily on house steps, in shops, and at intersections. Not as obligation, but as gratitude. Because to the Balinese, life is a gift, and the world is sustained by balance between good and evil, heaven and earth, the seen and the unseen. Geographically, Bali is a volcanic island. Its heart is dominated by sacred mountains, such as the majestic Mount Agung, which rises more than 9,800 feet above sea level. For the Balinese, Agung is the dwelling of the gods. It represents the axis of the universe, and all the island's villages are oriented in relation to it. The high is pure, the low profane. Everything is connected, nothing is neutral. The island's landscapes are breathtaking. Hand-carved rice terraces follow the curves of the hills like stairways to the sky. The tropical forests vibrate with life and mysticism. The beaches, sometimes peaceful, sometimes wild, wash the coast in a constant ebb and flow. But what makes Bali truly unforgettable isn't just the scenery. It's the spirit that dwells in every corner of this land. Ubud. In the heart of the island of Bali, far from the beaches and the noisy coastal tourism, Ubud rises as a sanctuary, a refuge for the soul, a space where the world slows down and the spirit finally breathes. The name Ubud comes from ubad, meaning medicine in ancient Balinese, and it's no coincidence. The city was born as a place of healing, a meeting point between the visible and the invisible, between the earth and the divine, a place where art, spirituality and nature intertwine like roots beneath fertile soil, creating a unique vibration, impossible to measure, yet impossible to ignore. Here, everything seems to dance. The leaves dance with the wind, the incense smoke dances in the air. The palm shadows dance across the temples. Even silence dances in Ubud, a living silence filled with bells, chants, barefoot steps, and smiles that bloom like unexpected flowers on a humid morning. The temples, their stones covered in moss, seem to grow with the vegetation, as if they were part of the forest. They are not monuments built to impress, but sacred spaces shaped with devotion. Pura Taman Saraswati, the temple of the goddess of wisdom, rests in the middle of a lotus pond, like a living offering to beauty. Every sculpture tells a story. Every step invites introspection. And it's impossible to talk about Ubud without mentioning art. For centuries, the city has been home to Bali's artists. Painters, sculptors, dancers, musicians, poets, they all find a home here, a fertile space where creativity blossoms like rice fields on the hillsides. In Ubud, art is not confined to museums. It's on the walls, in the clothing, in everyday gestures. It is a way of living. The studios scattered along the narrow streets display works that blend tradition and modernity. The legacy of Balinese painting masters like Agusti Nyoman Lempad lives on. At night in the Ubud Palace, the ancient movements of the dancers, with their intense eyes and precise hands, narrate Hindu epics under the flickering glow of torches. Nusa Lembongan. A name that seems to whisper with the wind, from a place where time slows down and the modern world dissolves like sea foam on the waves. Located just 30 minutes by boat from Bali's southeastern coast, this small Indonesian island holds secrets that even maps dare not fully reveal. Far from the bustle of Kuta and the spiritual hum of Ubud, Lembongan is a sanctuary where nature still sets the rules, where the sea is a blue god and silence is a constant ally. The first sensation upon arriving is the salty scent of the breeze, the soft warmth of sunlight filtered through palm leaves, and a nearly indescribable calm, a stillness that wraps body and soul as if something ancestral, something eternal resides here. For centuries, the island has been home to fishermen and seaweed farmers, who even today at dawn walk along the coast carrying hand-woven baskets, repeating ancient rituals with the quiet dignity of those who understand the cycles of nature. The seaweed, cultivated in perfect rectangles in the shallow sea, glistens in the sun like liquid emerald fields. This farming is not just sustenance, it is heritage, culture, living memory. The villages of Nusa Lembongan, such as Jungut Batu and Lembongan village, consist of narrow lanes lined with genuine smiles and tiny temples tucked among trees. Locals walk slowly, barefoot on the earth, as if knowing each step is sacred. Here, days are not measured by hours but by tides. And then there is the sea, a blue that defies the limits of language. In Mushroom Bay it sleeps, calm and translucent, like an enchanted lagoon. In Dream Beach it stirs wild, crashing into limestone rocks in bursts of foam. Each beach is a scene with its own soul, its own voice. Every grain of sand holds stories of mermaids and ancient storms. But the island does not reveal itself only on the surface. Beneath the water, Lembongan transforms into a secret kingdom. Coral reefs harbor a spectacle of colors and forms with no end in sight. Giant manta rays glide with majesty, like ocean angels. Clownfish dance among anemones. Sea turtles follow their ancient paths, indifferent to the passing of time. Belitung Island. An island that seems to rise gently from the sea, like a secret kept for centuries in the calm waters of Indonesia. Situated between Sumatra and Borneo, it remains out of the spotlight, hidden from the major tourist trails, like a jewel still shining quietly, untouched by the rush of the world. Known for its surreal landscapes, Belitung is an invitation to contemplation. Here, time doesn't run, it floats, hovers. Granite rocks scattered along the beaches form natural sculptures that seem like the handiwork of distracted gods. Sleeping giants shaped by wind and water, silent guardians of a beauty that seems to exist outside of time. Belitung's coastline is a spectacle on its own. Its waters shimmer in shades of blue that challenge an artist's palette. Turquoise, cobalt, sapphire. And when they meet the nearly silver-white sand, they create a dance of light and color that fascinates the eyes and soothes the spirit. At Tanjung Tinggi Beach, massive granite boulders rise like ancient columns. Between them, natural pools form, inviting one to swim and pause. It's easy to understand why this place served as the backdrop for the film Laskar Pelangi, The Rainbow Troops, which revealed not just the island's beauty to the world, but also the strength and tenderness of its people. It was here that children dreamed big, among simple schools and endless horizons, inspiring millions with their belief in education and hope. The island holds a silent history, written in its landscapes and memories. During the colonial era, Belitung was a center for tin mining. The traces of that time are still visible in the artificial lakes, formed by abandoned excavations, now transformed into unexpected mirrors of beauty. The land once wounded now blooms in shades of blue. But there is much more beyond mineral history. Belitung is also made of human stories. Malay, Chinese, and Bugis peoples form the cultural mosaic of the island. Each group brought its own traditions, flavors, and songs, and this fusion gives the island a unique rhythm, an identity that pulses in every market, every celebration, and every dish. Wakatobi Islands. An archipelago lost in the southeastern Celebes, where time seems to have paused to admire the beauty that rises from the sea. Its name comes from the union of the four main islands, Wangi Wangi, Kaledupa, Tomaya, and Binonko. 4 syllables, 4 pieces of land surrounded by an ocean full of life, 4 distinct universes connected like verses from an ancient poem, whispered by the sea currents and guarded in secret by the coral reefs. The Wakatobi Marine National Park is one of the largest protected coral reef areas in the world, covering more than 5,000 square miles of pure biodiversity. An ecological sanctuary where more than 750 species of coral live, almost twice as many as can be found in the entire Caribbean. Here, the sea is a temple, and the corals, its colorful stained glass windows. To dive in, Wakatobi is to disappear from the surface and be reborn in another reality. An underwater kingdom pulsing with impossible colors, mesmerizing shapes, and continuous motion. It's like stepping into a vivid dream, where the lines between real and surreal dissolve in the transparency of the water. Angelfish, nudibranchs, moray eels, green turtles, dolphins. Manta rays glide with the calmness of sages. Schools of fish move in perfect choreography, shimmering lights in sync. In every corner of the archipelago, there's an unforgettable dive, a show that has repeated itself for millennia before eyes that know how to see. But not everything lies beneath the surface. Wakatobi also reveals its beauty on land. The islands are covered in dense vegetation, with white sand beaches as fine as flour, cliffs sculpted by wind, and hidden caves that hold secrets of stone and shadow. It's a landscape that invites contemplation, silence, and deep listening. Wangi Wangi, the gateway to the archipelago, is where the land begins to speak. Villages live peacefully with the sea. Houses, many built on stilts, extend over the water like wooden fingers caressing the surface. Children swim freely. Fishermen set out at dawn in canoes that seem to dance upon the waves. Daily life is simple and sacred. Meals are caught and prepared by hands that know the flavors of the sea and land. The smiles of locals are gentle, unhurried. Time in Wakatobi isn't measured by clocks, but by tides, moon phases, and the rising and setting of the sun. Komodo National Park. In the heart of the Indonesian archipelago, between the islands of Sumbawa and Flores, there is a sanctuary that seems torn from the pages of an ancient fantasy, a place where time slows, nature reigns with fierce splendor, and the last dragons on earth still walk free. This is Komodo National Park. Founded in 1980, initially to protect the world's largest lizard, the feared and revered Komodo dragon, the park has since evolved into much more than a haven for prehistoric reptiles. Today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the richest marine ecosystems on the planet, and a jewel of Indonesia's biodiversity. Covering over 700 square miles, the park includes 3 main islands, Komodo, Rinca and Padar, plus dozens of small islets and an expanse of turquoise waters dotted with coral reefs. These islands are mountainous, covered in dry savannas, tropical forests, and beaches with white, black, and even pink sand. In this primeval setting lives the Varanus komodoensis, the Komodo dragon. Measuring over 10 feet in length and weighing more than 200 pounds, It is the largest lizard on Earth and a true apex predator. With razor-sharp teeth and saliva full of deadly bacteria, even a single bite can be a slow death sentence. These creatures have fascinating habits. They are opportunistic hunters capable of stalking deer, buffalo, wild boar, and even other dragons. But they are also patient, waiting in silence for hours until the moment to strike. When they attack, it's with brutal precision. And perhaps most chilling of all is their intelligence. Komodo dragons recognize faces, navigate around obstacles, and, according to researchers, may even communicate through postures and guttural sounds. Their reproductive behavior is equally remarkable. Females can lay up to 30 eggs at once, carefully burying them to shield from predators. And in a rare natural phenomenon, some can reproduce by parthenogenesis, that is, without male contact, an evolutionary trait that may help explain their survival over millions of years. Kintamani. Here, the world seems to breathe differently, deeper, slower. The mist glides through the valleys, the fields stretch in rich green hues, and in the distance, ever imposing, Mount Batur watches, an ancient sentinel, a guardian of fire and fertility. Mount Batur is not just a mountain, it is a living spirit, revered for centuries by the Balinese as a dwelling place of the gods. Kintamani is more than a destination. It is a full sensory experience, from the morning chill to the gentle warmth of noon, from the sound of temple bells to the absolute silence between hillsides. It is a land that commands respect without force, that welcomes with solemnity, that teaches through presence. The village of Penelican, whose name means place of observation, offers one of the most majestic views in all of Bali. From there, you can see Mount Batur framed by the vast lake of the same name, Lake Batur. Its tranquil waters, cradled in the crater of an ancient eruption, mirror the sky and soothe the soul. It's the kind of landscape that needs no words. It speaks for itself. Lake Batur is the largest in Bali. Its deep, dark waters carry ancient secrets. Legends say it is home to the goddess Danu, deity of waters and protector of springs and fields. On its shores stands Ulun Danu Batur Temple, an offering to the divine, a place of prayer, of balance, of connection between the visible and the unseen. Balinese people come from all corners of the island to pay homage at this temple. The ceremonies are grand, yet never ostentatious. Colorful fabrics, flowers, rice, incense, murmured prayers. There's a quiet beauty in every gesture, a tranquil dignity that comes from a spirituality woven into daily life. Mount Batur, rising to 5,635 feet above sea level, is an active volcano. Its eruptions have shaped the current landscape and left trails of lava that remain vivid and black, geological records of Earth's power. But it's also one of the most sought-after destinations for sunrise hikes. Gili Trawangan. In a nearly forgotten spot among the waves of the Indian Ocean, to the west of Lombok Island, lies a small gem surrounded by crystal-clear waters and wrapped in mystery, music and tropical magic. Its name is Gili Trawangan, the largest and most famous of the three Gili Islands, a paradise of contrasts and unforgettable sensory experiences. The first impression is like stepping into a blue dream. No cars, no engine noise, only the sound of the sea and the gentle jingling of bells tied to horse-drawn carts. Gili Trawangan is a place where time slows down, where warm sand embraces your feet, and where the sunset looks as if it were painted by the hand of a divine artist. But to truly understand Gili Trawangan, you must go beyond the perfect beaches. You must know its origins, its soul, its people. These islands were once uninhabited. For centuries they were merely navigation markers for Bugis fishermen and Sasak traders sailing between the Indonesian islands. But in the 20th century, after Christ, everything began to change. During the Japanese occupation in World War II, Gili Trawangan was used as a lookout and shelter. After the conflict, fishing communities began settling there, and over the decades a mixed population from Lombok, Sulawesi, Bali, and even mainland Asia gave shape to the island's multicultural spirit. The name Trawangan comes from the word Terowongan, which means tunnel in Indonesian, a reference to an old tunnel dug during the Japanese occupation. And Gili, in the Sasak language, simply means small island. Thus Gili Trawangan became the small island with a tunnel, a modest name for an extraordinary place. Today, Gili Trawangan is an international destination, a melting pot of cultures where backpackers, divers, artists, digital nomads, and peace seekers mix with the local residents, creating a vibrant, fluid community that is also deeply rooted in tradition and spirituality. The absence of motorized vehicles is one of its early charms. On Gili, people get around on foot, by bicycle or by horse cart, known locally as sidomos. The pace of life adjusts to the healthy slowness of nature. There are no horns, no smoke, only sea breezes and laughter drifting from seaside bars. Padar Island. In the heart of the Komodo archipelago in Indonesia lies a raw and nearly untouched gem, Padar Island. Wild, dramatic, silent. It seems to have been drawn by hand by a force of nature that was in no rush. Its contours resemble a sleeping serpent, winding through turquoise waters and isolated coves, a place where time appears to slow down, and the wind whispers ancestral secrets, carrying tales from forgotten ages. Padar Island is not just a feast for the eyes. It is a geological testament to millennia of tectonic activity, erosion, fire, and sea. Unlike its neighbors, Komodo and Rinca, famous for their fearsome dragons, Padar is a realm where drama is expressed in the landscape, in the textures, and in the colors. Its jagged peaks offer one of the most breathtaking views in Southeast Asia. 3 bays, each with a beach of a different color, white, pink, and black, create a natural signature that is unmistakable. For a long time, Padar remained away from the spotlight. While Komodo's dragons attracted adventurers and scientists, Padar kept its mystery quietly guarded. But slowly, explorers, photographers, and nature lovers began to climb its hills and walk its narrow trails. What they found there was more than beauty. They found another world. The name Padar echoes with ancient resonance, though its origin is uncertain. There's no consensus on its meaning, but something powerful and raw lives in its sound. It seems to carry a legacy that goes beyond language, a direct bond with the earth, with the elements, with all that is essential and primordial. Located between Komodo and Rinca Islands, Padar is the third largest island in Komodo National Park, which was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1991 after Christ. Although within the park's limits, Padar no longer shelters the famous dragons. They once lived there in distant times, but disappeared due to illegal hunting and a shortage of natural prey. Karimunjawa. Far beyond Indonesia's most popular tourist maps, there is a hidden sanctuary between the Java Sea and the silence of ocean currents, Karimunjawa. A name that sounds like a promise, like a secret whispered by ancient sailors. An archipelago that remains even today, a semi-hidden jewel shimmering between deep blue and emerald green. Composed of 27 islands, of which only a few are inhabited, Karimunjawa is a place where time slows down, where clocks become useless and the days are measured by the dance of the sun and the rise and fall of the tides. Here, nature sets the rhythm, and those who arrive soon realize it's not just a destination, it's a state of mind. Located approximately 50 miles off the north coast of central Java, Karimunjawa is a national marine reserve, a paradise protected by law but above all by its own inaccessibility. For decades, the difficult access kept the region isolated, sparing it from the fury of mass tourism and the rapid wear that follows modern haste. The name Karimunjawa carries stories lost to time. Some say it comes from the Javanese phrase kremun kremun saking Jawa, meaning faintly visible from Java, a reference to its hazy appearance on the horizon. Others claim it has Arabic roots, brought by traders or missionaries of the past. Whatever its origin, the word is magical, a whisper of adventure and discovery. The archipelago is a living tapestry of coral reefs, mangroves, coastal savannas, and tropical forests. A mosaic of biodiversity that shelters more than 300 species of fish, 90 types of coral, and dozens of endemic bird species. Sea turtles, green and hawksbill, find here one of the few safe havens for nesting. Karimunjawa is also home to a modest yet resilient population. The villages are small, made up of wooden houses built on stilts, surrounded by coconut trees and fishing boats. Most residents live off the sea. Their lives follow the cycles of the tides, the seasons of the wind, and the wisdom passed down through generations. The main island, Pulau Karimunjawa, is the heart of the archipelago. This is where most of the infrastructure is concentrated. A small port, schools, mosques, a few inns and local markets. Everything is simple, essential. But that simplicity is also its beauty. There is no unnecessary luxury, only authenticity. Lake Toba. Located at approximately 2,950 feet above sea level, Lake Toba stretches for more than 60 miles in length and nearly 20 miles in width. But its size is only part of the story. This is not just a lake, it is the caldera of a supervolcano, one of the largest in Earth's geological history, and what is now a serene green landscape was born from apocalyptic destruction. About 74,000 years ago, the Toba supervolcano erupted. It was an explosion so massive that it launched billions of tons of ash into the atmosphere, affecting global climate for decades. Many scientists believe this event caused a temporary ice age, drastically reducing the human population around the planet. The Toba eruption is considered one of the largest environmental catastrophes of the past 2 million years. And yet, from this scene of destruction emerged a lake of hypnotic beauty, a mirror of water where green mountains softly reflect, where the morning mist rises like a sacred veil, where time, instead of passing, seems simply to be, suspended between yesterday and tomorrow. At the center of Lake Toba lies Samosir Island, an island within a lake within a crater. This geographic paradox only intensifies the region's enigmatic character. Samosir is not just a piece of land, it is the spiritual and cultural heart of the Batak people, one of Indonesia's oldest and most unique ethnic groups. The Bataks have a deep identity, shaped by centuries of isolation, struggle, and mythology. Their culture is rich in symbolism. Their traditional homes, with curved roofs resembling buffalo horns, are decorated with red, black, and white motifs, colors representing the connection between the world of the living, the dead, and the spirits. For a long time, the Bataks resisted external influences. Before the arrival of European missionaries in the 19th century, after Christ, they were animists, with a complex belief system centered on nature, ancestors, and invisible forces. Their rituals involved music, dance, offerings, and even practices that today might be seen as taboo. Sumbawa. This island, part of the West Nusa Tenggara province, is often overlooked on Indonesia's tourist map, and perhaps that is its greatest treasure: isolation. An isolation that preserves not just the landscape but the soul of a resilient people, a living culture, and a land where every element seems to tell a story. Sumbawa is marked by dramatic geography. Rugged mountains, tropical forests, vast valleys, and a coastline carved with bays and peninsulas. To the north, Mount Tambora rises like a sleeping titan, a living reminder of one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in human history. In 1815 after Christ, Tambora erupted with indescribable fury. The explosion killed more than 70,000 people and ejected so much volcanic material into the atmosphere that it triggered the so-called year without a summer in the Northern Hemisphere. Europe experienced widespread crop failures. Global temperatures dropped. The entire world felt the blow from Sumbawa, even without knowing its name. Today, Mount Tambora rests imposingly, wrapped in clouds and reverence. Climbing to its crater is a pilgrimage, a dive into Earth's geological history. The landscape there is surreal, a massive caldera nearly 6 miles wide, where silence is broken only by the wind and the footsteps of those who dare to scale its memory. But Sumbawa is not defined solely by volcanic tragedies. It pulses with its own rhythm. Its plains are home to buffalo, horses, and livestock herds. Agriculture is carried out by steady hands that understand time, soil, and the cycles of rain. Rice fields, corn plantations, cashew orchards, and cotton crops cover the island's interior with earthy and vibrant green tones. In the villages, time moves slowly. Wooden houses, raised on stilts, protect against flooding and shelter large families. Thatched roofs resemble cocoons guarding ancient secrets. Children play barefoot. Elders watch with eyes that have seen too much. Sumbawa's culture is a tapestry of Malay, Javanese, Balinese, and even Islamic influences. The Samawa people, in the western part of the island, speak their own language and preserve customs that defy time. In the east, the Bimanese have their own identity, dialect, dress, and distinct traditions. Surakarta. Surakarta, also known as Solo, a name that carries echoes of the past, whispers of royalty, spirituality, and art. A city where time does not run, it dances. It dances to the sound of the gamelan, to the rhythm of wayang shadows, to the tempo of batik being carefully drawn by hand. Surakarta is not just a city, it is a living soul. Located in the heart of central Java, Surakarta is a guardian of Javanese traditions, a city where culture pulses in every corner, every market, every greeting, where past and present do not oppose, they intertwine, and where the invisible is as present as the streets, the temples, and the faces. Founded in 1745, after Christ by Sultan Pakubuwono II, after the destruction of Kartasura, Surakarta became the new center of the Mataram kingdom. The city was designed as a space of harmony, with palaces aligned according to the cosmic principles of Javanism. Here, everything has meaning. Nothing is random. Urban planning is spiritual. Architecture is prayer. The main palace, Keraton Surakarta Hadiningrat, is more than just a building. It is the beating heart of the city. The royal lineage still resides there, and court rituals continue to be performed with the same solemnity as centuries ago. Guards in ceremonial dress, decorated courtyards, thrones, sacred objects, everything breathes tradition. Next to the Keraton stands the Pura Mangkunagaran, a smaller yet equally important palace, home to another royal lineage of the city. Both coexist as reflections of the same historical mirror, the spiritual and cultural power of Java that has withstood time, colonialism, and revolutions. These palaces are not merely relics, they are living centers of culture. It is there that the secrets of gamelan music, wayang kulit shadow theatre, and classical Javanese dance are studied. They are also spaces dedicated to preserving batik, the hand-painted fabric that is a national symbol, but in Solo takes on an almost sacred dimension. Bandung. High on the Parahyangan plateau, surrounded by green hills, dormant craters and old farmhouses, rests a city with the soul of an artist and the past of a revolution. Bandung. Often called the Paris of Java, but it needs no comparison. Bandung is one of a kind. Modern and ancestral, urban and mountainous, vibrant and spiritual. Located about 2,300 feet above sea level, Bandung has a mild climate that seems to slow down time. The air is fresher, the trees taller, and the architecture a living reliquary of colonial history and local creativity. Bandung is a city of harmonious contrasts, where the old reinvents itself and the new engages with tradition. Officially founded by the Dutch in 1810 after Christ, Bandung flourished as an administrative center and later as a hub for education and culture. During the colonial period, the colonizers planned to turn the city into the new capital of the Dutch East Indies. Though the plan was never realized, Bandung inherited an urban, architectural and social legacy that still defines its landscape. The wide avenues, the Art Deco buildings, the landscaped gardens, all reflect a time when the city symbolized European progress on Asian soil. But Bandung was never just a colonial frame. It absorbed, transformed, and reinvented that heritage in its own way. Javanese, Sundanese, Indonesian. At the heart of the city stands the majestic Gedung Sate, with its iconic satay skewer-shaped tower. The popular name comes from its appearance. Built in 1920, it once served as the seat of the colonial government, and today houses the government of West Java province. More than just an administrative building, it is a symbol of Bandung, strong, elegant, resilient. But what truly drives Bandung is its young and creative spirit. Home to the Bandung Institute of Technology, ITB, one of the country's most prestigious universities, the city is a cradle of artists, engineers, architects, musicians, and designers. The ITB campus is almost a temple of innovation, where tradition meets experimentation. In the cafes of Dago, the hidden studios of Braga, and the concept stores of Riau, a creative energy pulses that makes Bandung a national reference in design, fashion, and urban art. Here, youth does not wait for permission, it creates. With paint, with sound, with textile fibers, with binary code. Semarang. With a history dating back to the 9th century after Christ, Semarang began as a small coastal settlement known as Bergota. It was a village surrounded by swamps and hills, where local legends tell of ancestral spirits protecting the trade routes that passed through. But it was in the 15th century after Christ, with the arrival of Chinese and Arab traders, that the region began to gain strategic importance. Semarang's geographical position made it a crucial point for maritime trade across the archipelago. Ships from faraway places like Gujarat, Malacca, and Canton anchored in its ports, carrying silk, spices, porcelain, and with them, religious doctrines, languages, and lifestyles. The port of Semarang became a bubbling cauldron where Buddhism, Islam, and later Christianity intersected in the gazes of travelers and the prayers of fishermen. By the end of the 17th century after Christ, the Dutch presence, through the Dutch East India Company, VOC, had solidified Semarang's importance as an administrative and military center. The city was designed in the style of European colonial architecture, with fortresses, Protestant churches, and buildings that still preserve memories of a rule that deeply marked the region's social fabric. The construction of Fort Prince Willem I symbolized the dominant Dutch presence. Around it, the old part of the city grew, now known as Kota Lama. This old city is a frozen portrait of a time when horse-drawn carriages rolled through narrow alleys and church bells competed with the calls to prayer from Islamic minarets. Dutch architecture survives there as a testimony to the historical layers the city contains. But Semarang is not defined only by its colonial legacy. Long before that, it was a significant spiritual center. The Great Mosque of Demak, located on the outskirts of the city, though technically outside modern city boundaries, is an undeniable landmark. Built by Raden Patah, the first Sultan of Demak, it is considered one of the first Islamic mosques in Java and a symbol of the rise of Islam in Indonesia. Over time, Semarang expanded, absorbing villages and adapting to new challenges. During the Japanese occupation in World War II, the city witnessed confrontations and resistance. Its people endured shortages and repression, but also bore witness to the early cries for independence that would arrive in 1945 after Christ. Surabaya. At the mouth of the Mas River, facing the Madura Strait, rises a city that not only survived time, it defied it with bravery. Capital of East Java Province, Surabaya is more than an urban center. It is a symbol, a city where every street echoes with cries for independence, every market pulses with the energy of ancient cultural exchanges, and every face carries the resilience of a people who never accepted submission. The name Surabaya has legendary origins. It derives from the word Sura, meaning shark, and Baya, meaning crocodile, two mythical animals said to have fought a fierce battle in the city's waters. This fable, more than just a zoological metaphor, represents the eternal tension and balance between opposing forces, a clash of courage and cunning, of sea and land, that still shapes the spirit of the city today. The first historical references to Surabaya date back to the 13th century after Christ, when it already functioned as a commercial and naval hub within the Majapahit Empire, the last of the great Hindu empires in Java. Its strategic location made it a vital link between the Javanese interior and foreign markets. It was there that rice was traded for spices, wood for silk, stories for promises. With the decline of Majapahit, Surabaya went through cycles of autonomy and foreign control. In the 16th century after Christ, under growing Islamic influence, it became a stronghold of resistance against the Mataram Empire, even as it opened its doors to Arab, Persian, and Chinese traders. It was a vibrant port city where morning prayers blended with the sound of drums from the docks. European colonization, first Portuguese then Dutch, redrew Surabaya's destiny. With the arrival of the VOC, the Dutch East India Company, the city was militarized and structured as a naval base. Local resistance, however, never ceased. Even under the weight of colonial oppression, the Javanese people of Surabaya kept their traditions, language, and faith alive. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Up next, we'll leave another piece of content that might catch your interest. See you in the next video.